Hey all, it's Wes from I Love My Film. This week's episode is going to be a little bit different. I'm going to be actually replaying an interview that I did with Lang from Behindeachfilmgrain. I'll link to his YouTube channel below. He actually posted this up early on last week, and I thought I would just replay this. Lang interviewed me and asked me a bunch of questions, the hows and whys in regards to photography in my life. And I thought maybe some of you might want to know, so I hope you give it a listen. And thanks again for watching this episode of I Love My Film.
Okay, welcome to my first podcast.
Yeah.
With Wes. Wes, explain to me not explain to me, but tell me your last name.
So last name is Fortin. It's spelled Fortin.
Okay, and what origin is that for Fortin?
Well, it's French actually. I guess my heritage is from Eastern Canada, from Quebec. So
that would make sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Live in Canada.
That's right. That's right. Yep. Yep.
A lot of French influence.
Yep. There is a lot of French influence here for sure. For sure.
And from what I can see, it looks amazing. The location that you live in, just beautiful.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible.
Let's see, it's been probably 30 plus years since I've actually been in Canada, and it was visiting British Columbia, and actually we headed over to what's it called? It's that ski resort,
Whistler.
Oh man, that place amazing.
Yeah, I can see the Whistler Mountains. I mean, I can walk about 5 minutes and look over the ocean and see the Whistler Mountains. So we're not far from there. So
I have to admit, I am quite jealous about your location. People say, "Oh, you live in the mountains and this and that, and you have access to that. Like, why don't you be a landscape photographer?" Like, because that's just not my thing.
Yeah, totally.
In my teen years, I lived up in Northern California, and I hadn't been back for like 20 plus 6 years, and seeing it change from me growing up to the time is now, and I'm like, I don't recognize some of the things, but I recognize a lot of things, right? Like it doesn't change per se, but. But like seeing all your images that you posted on Facebook, or not Facebook, but Instagram, and your YouTube, there's some really gorgeous locations that would.
It's funny you say that. One of the reasons why I moved to Vancouver Island was the primary reason was for work. I got transferred, which was kind of a gift. I used to live in northern Alberta, so. I used to live about 5 hours north of Edmonton, Alberta. So there we get 6, sometimes 7 months of winter, and temperatures of -40, -50 degrees. So really, really cold climate and long winters. And so this has been just a gift for me to be able to move to a place like this. I've never lived anywhere like this in my life before. So my work kind of brought me here. So which is a good thing.
Okay. What type of work do you make, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, no problem. So my day job is I'm a branch manager of a John Deere dealership. So we work with the agriculture industry and also small property owners and people needing lawn and garden equipment and anything related to that. So if you've seen John Deere equipment that's green out there, that's the stuff I sell all the time. So
yeah, we have a lot of that here in Utah. A lot of farmers and farm equipment that requires your attention.
That's right. Yeah, for sure.
So let me ask you, how did you get involved in photography? Like, what was your main purpose in starting this?
So that story goes back probably, I would say, close to about 17, 18 years ago. My wife and I took a trip somewhere, one of our first trips as a couple, and I was just, just enamored, first of all, by travel and just the beauty of the world. And so I mean, when I got back home, I thought, well, it would have been great to have a nice camera to capture these things with, and I didn't have that yet. And so I started doing that, and it kind of snowballed from there. And at first it started out as kind of a hobby, and then for probably about 7 or 8 years, I shot professionally as well too. I shot weddings and family portraiture mostly, and then I did some commercial stuff as well too. But for the most part, it was primarily weddings and families, and I really, really enjoyed that. That was just it's a mix of high stress and also a lot of enjoyment at the same time. So it was a combination of those two things. Yeah, I that's kind of how it started. And I in Grand Prairie, where I was from before Vancouver Island, up until I left 2 years ago, I was shooting a lot of family sessions, and I was shooting probably anywhere between 8 and 10 weddings a year, which is really all I could imagine, all I could manage, because of the fact that I was also working a 6-day-a-week work week as well with my other job.
Right.
So, yeah.
I did the same thing you did,
Yeah.
the wedding and portrait. It's kind of still do that, but not so much a lot of the weddings. Wasn't stressful for me or anything like that. It's just I wasn't marketing myself in that way. So I did more of the commercial shoot, right? And I do that like twice a year for one specific company, and then just whoever hires me out. And usually I get my work from Instagram. So
Cool.
I'm picky about what I shoot and what I do with the commercial side of the business.
Yeah.
Definitely is a business.
Yes, it is. No question. It feels that way, right? It kind of, in some respects, I found that it felt like work, right? And whereas photography for me started off as just this release, this time to enjoy taking images and being creative. As soon as you start doing it for clients and they're paid, although you still are creative and you're still trying to engage that part of who you are, you still you inevitably end up feeling a little bit like it's work sometimes, it's okay.
Yeah, I know. I agree with I shoot, and I think that's why I shoot mainly film, right? Because it gives you that creative insight and an escape from the work that you would normally produce, like with a digital camera, right, for your clients. But
For sure.
now my clients are starting to see my work in the film part of it, and they're wanting more of it. So
that's cool.
That's always nice.
Yeah, that's great.
So let's dive into your favorite camera.
Okay. So that, of course, just like anyone that's kind of gone down the rabbit hole of shooting film, that changes quite regularly. But my current favorite camera that I'm shooting is my Pentax 645. Brought it right here to show. This is probably only I purchased this about 3 months ago, and so it's a fairly new acquisition, and I probably only put maybe 6 or 8 rolls through it up to this point. But so far I really like it. I like the grip. The grip is actually quite nice because it feels like an SLR. It's easy to handhold, although it is quite heavy. It's hand holdable. You don't have to lock it down on a tripod, and it's medium format, which is always a plus for sure.
Definitely.
I'm really enjoying that camera. Previous to that, I had my only medium format camera before that was the Yashica Mat 124G, and I had that for probably 3 years. Shot a lot through that camera, but just like a lot of us, we don't have incredibly deep pockets, and in order to buy something else, you had to sell something else. I don't know if you're in that boat, but I sure am.
Oh no, so, I definitely am. As a graphic designer, you like, when's my next paycheck? Oh, that's where I'm at.
That's right.
In fact, all the cameras that you have, I actually have in the past, and I still do some. Like I gave out the Yashica what is it? Yashica Electro 135.
Hmm.
But yours was, I had the black and silver, and yours is the black, solid black.
Yeah.
I mean, I wanted that camera. It's so good.
Yeah.
But
I actually,
it's a rangefinder, right?
yeah, I
So
actually found that camera. I haven't shot with it yet, but I found that camera at a thrift store like
you
a
did.
month and a half ago, and I got it for $20.
Oh
Yeah,
my
it was.
goodness.
Yeah, so it's one of those things that you find and you're like, oh, I gotta grab this. I don't even care if it works. I gotta buy this thing.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's
So yeah,
so beautiful. And
yeah,
and I wanted to mention to you, and I noticed that you had the Pentax, the Pentax, but I think it was an 80, just a standard lens, right? For
yeah,
the Pentax. But look, this is what this is the Pentax 105 f2.
yeah, yeah,
Okay, so that is that's the original. There's 3 versions of it.
yeah.
The third rendition was built back in 1987, 85, and it's way too much. Like we're talking $600+ for just the lens, but it's like
I know.
tack sharp. Whereas this was,
Yeah,
it's radiated, has the coatings inside, but not like
yeah,
here. And
yeah.
but it still takes beautiful photos. And I've adapted it to the Canon Elan Elan 7N, yeah. But I've adapted to my Nikons, to my
That's cool.
and it's just one of those rad lenses. So let's dive into your favorite lens.
Well, I recently for the Pentax 645, I bought it's called a Carl Zeiss Biometar. It's an 80mm 2.8. This is actually the only lens that I actually own for this camera. I actually haven't purchased any native Pentax lenses yet. I'm going to purchase a wide angle lens for landscape, hopefully fairly soon. But yeah, this has definitely been a lens that I've enjoyed thus far. So that's probably one of my favorite current lenses. But I also have the Nikon FT. I've posted pictures from the FT as well too. I got the 28 2.8 from the Nikon FT that I absolutely love, and then now I've got the 50 f1.4 on the Nikon FT right now. So both of them I actually quite like. They've been really, really good lenses so far for me. But I mean, I noticed you held up a digital camera. My absolute favorite lens by far was that a digital EOS that you adapted? Oh, that's a film one.
That's a film one. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure if it was or not. Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, I loved.
Adapted that lens to the digital. I've got a 5D Mark II.
Yes. Yeah, you bet. Well, I mean, I shoot, anytime I do any digital work, I shoot with my X Pro 2, which I absolutely love this camera. And this is primarily a film discussion, but I love the 23mm f2 lens. It's an amazing lens. I wish I could adapt that to film somehow. I don't know if you can or not.
Yeah, you can. Just find an adapter.
Okay. So yeah. I guess I could go to like an EOS camera or something like that, because I have a couple EOS film cameras.
Yeah, it's
a couple Canons.
That's what I love about old vintage lenses that you can adapt to, whether Fuji or Sony or whatever you want, right? And that's what
right.
I
did
a lot of that, and you probably saw some of the video with me and Ed talking about that. And I love exploring and Frankensteining my cameras is one.
Yeah, it's great. You get really unique results that way.
Definitely.
That's for sure.
Okay, so we talk. Okay, so let's talk about film grain. I noticed that you shot the Cinestill 800T, and I've shot that in the past. But what are your thoughts?
You know what? I don't know if I'm not shooting it right or not, but I'm not a huge fan. I hear from everybody that the latitude is so huge, and I mean, maybe it's just me, maybe it's how I'm shooting it. But I mean, I've had maybe a couple of good shots. One I sent you earlier today. I shot it, I believe, on Cinestill, and it's okay for me. It's not my favorite film by any means. I much prefer anything that's 400 speed or lower. That's kind of where, to me, the sweet spot is.
Right.
Anything 400 speed or lower, I'm a huge fan of. So, for example, I don't know if you want me to go into.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. So I think the films that I really, really like, XR 100 is my number one favorite film, without question. Anything, although I'm starting to warm up to black and white and shooting more and more black and white.
Right.
Most of what I've shot has been in color up to this point. So I like XR 100. I love Kodak Gold for 35 millimeter. Ultramax is also great.
400, easy.
Yeah. Recently, I shot Fuji Pro 400H for the first time, and I actually think I like that better than Portra myself.
But you know what? The Pro 400H in your location makes sense because you got a lot of greens and blues, right? And
yeah.
It up. So if I were in your situation, like sea level, I don't know what it is about sea level, but the film and bright sunlight, it just beautiful. Like if you shoot it one stop over, that blue and those greens are just pop.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I agree 100%. Yeah.
So I don't know. All the films that you've mentioned, I love them so much, and it just depends on the situation whether you're like wedding shooting or your landscape shooting, or if you're out street shooting. So like with for instance, the Kodak XR 100, I would shoot that preferably on my 120 medium format as opposed to 35.
Okay. Yeah.
Renders better colors.
Yeah, I would agree with that statement actually too. I've shot it mostly in 120.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just looking through your Instagram images.
Yeah.
And that is it an Impala? I want to say it's an Impala.
The Super B shot, or which one? Oh yeah, the green one.
Oh my god.
The green one. Yeah.
Happened to be parked out there, right?
Oh my gosh, yeah. It was just it was walking around and that was there. So it was begging to be shot, that's for sure.
Now is that where it says the Super B, is that the same car? Just one stripe?
No, actually that we have in a place called Qualicum Beach, not far down the road from us, we have one of the largest car shows in Canada every Father's Day. Really? So it was a couple Father's Days ago when I first moved here that I shot that photograph, and it was not the same car. I'm sure it's not the same car, but I mean, if you can imagine, you go there and there's basically 500-600 classic cars lining probably 6 or 8 streets, and just, I mean, endless photographs when it comes to cars. And I wouldn't even consider myself a car guy, but I love the colors and lines that you get when you shoot vehicles in the right light.
Right. No, I love cars. Old vintage cars, they photograph in different perspective. And seeing other people's photography just makes me like, oh, I need to go shoot more.
Yeah, for sure.
What else? You have some really beautiful landscape. Like, you're not a landscape photographer, but it's like perspective on your all the images I'm looking at. Like, just like I would love. Again, I think I've told you this before, but I'm like completely jealous in that location that you're shooting. Harbors, the greenery. I'm all about that.
Yeah, and it's funny, Lang. This is something I think that is we're alike as human beings, but right now it's so funny. I'm dreaming about a trip to Death Valley.
Oh, really?
Which is like the exact opposite of what I live in, right? So you start to get comfortable with what you live in, and you see it every day, and it becomes normal. And it's almost like you got to go somewhere else to be re-inspired again. And so that's one of the reasons why I love travel, absolutely love travel.
That's the thing for me too. Like I was actually planning on going back to Northern California this summer, but I don't foresee it because of the illness. But yeah, I go back to be inspired and get those shots that I've been dreaming about, like going to the Death Valley or somewhere desert. Like I've been wanting to go to, what was it called? Something. It's in it's Southern California. Joshua Tree.
Yes. Yeah.
Those huge cacti.
Yeah.
I want to capture those moments too.
Yeah. Oh yeah, totally. I want to do a road trip all through there. It's actually, I'm kind of loosely thinking about doing it if this whole thing kind of blows over with COVID-19, which I'm hoping and praying that it does. I'm kind of loosely planning a trip in winter to go down there, because I think that'd be a good time of year to be not to get too scorched and at the same time.
Yeah, I think it'd be lots of fun. Maybe work better for you. I mean, that's
totally.
Around, but So let's I don't know what the time is. What time do we start? 2 something?
We probably started about 25 minutes ago, I would think.
Okay, so let's do another 20. You've got the Elan, what is that, 2?
It's the Elan 2. Yeah.
How was that?
It was good. I mean, the one thing, because when I shot weddings and families, I shot with a Canon 6D, and so that whole Canon ecosystem just feels natural, right? I mean, that because you got a 5D Mark II, and then you've also got some Canon film cameras. They feel like the same cameras, really. I mean, they handle the same, and so it's nice to have a camera like that where I can. The one thing I don't like about that kind of camera is it doesn't have the same kind of heavy kind of tactile vintage feel that you get from some of the older cameras, right? So although it gives you like that that snappy autofocus and all those kind of things, it doesn't have the same kind of soul, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I've got a Canon a Canon F1, the original, and it's heavy, it's bulky, it's metal, and and when you hit that shutter button, there's a sound it makes, and it just resonates with you. Like, man, this is the coolest camera ever, right? But I'm not a Canon or a camera brand per se. Like I have Nikon, I have Pentax, I have Yashica, I have Olympus, right? So all of them are just tools to me. They provide me with a look that I like and a sound that I enjoy, and the handling, right? So if I'm gonna shoot fully mechanical, I'm gonna shoot with the Nikon FE2, right?
Yeah.
I just recently purchased or acquired a FE because I traded my Minolta X700 for that body to body, swaps, right?
Yeah.
I like it, but the FE2 allows me to shoot at 4,000ths of a second as opposed to 1,000ths of a second on the FE.
Yeah.
So that's the only difference. I mean, but majority of the time it's F16, Sunny 16, and so I don't worry about the speed that I need, because of that. So
that's right.
But yeah, if I'm out shooting, like say, I call it commando, style photography when I'm in areas that are private property.
Yeah.
I just run a gun and shoot. So I like the features of the auto film, like the Nikon. I have a Nikon F100,
Mm-hmm.
50 millimeter, and man, I'm out in and out. So it's like fast and simple.
That's right. That's right.
How was like, I know that there's areas that maybe that you're like you shouldn't be, but you do.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, oh, yeah, for sure, for sure.
Yeah, we find ourselves always in that situation where we're just doing that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense.
now I noticed that you have some pictures in the background there. Those are all printed. That you printed?
Yeah. I mean, some of them are digital prints. The one up here to the top, that's a darkroom print. I recently set myself up a darkroom set up in my space to see if I could start teaching myself how to do printing in the darkroom, and because I thought that's the next logical step, you know, in the analog process, to be able to kind of take it kind of full circle, if you will.
Yeah.
So I recently started printing and enjoying that process, and so that's a lot of fun.
That's a beautiful print, by the way.
Thank you.
The surfers there with the long boards.
Yeah, thanks.
And
that's actually the first print I made. You know, and yeah, that's the first kind of my first attempt at darkroom printing. And you know, I was on Craigslist and I saw somebody selling a whole enlarger kit with basically everything you need, like trays, everything to start darkroom printing.
Yeah.
And I kind of thought, well, I should probably buy that. And so for $100 later, you know, I've got, it's crazy. I got a great deal on all the stuff.
Yeah.
You know, I haven't much invested at all in my darkroom equipment. So it's, I can print up, I can enlarge up to 6x6 negatives.
Because they call themselves hybrid shooters. Do you consider yourself a hybrid shooter, Wes?
Yeah, because I don't think that you know, I mean, some people who shoot film say, well, film's superior over digital, and I think that's probably not accurate. I mean, they have their own, they have their own pros and cons. I think probably the reason why I shoot film more than I shoot digital is because I enjoy the process, right? I enjoy even after the fact, even after taking the image, I enjoy developing on my own as well too. So I think, I would say I'm definitely a hybrid shooter. I'll pull out my X Pro 2 and hit the streets with that once in a while as well too. In fact, I probably should do it a little bit more often, but I find myself grabbing film cameras more than I do digital. So
okay, so I have a little bit advantage on a lot of people because I work for I work for a sign company.
Yeah,
it's under the camera umbrella.
Okay.
Does that make sense, right? Like there's multiple companies under this umbrella of the camera store. So I get my film and developing at half cost or whatever, you know, at a really decent price. And so
that's awesome.
So I have access to like developing myself in the machines and then scanning it myself with the machines that I have, right?
Wow.
So that's a advantage to me. So not having needing a darkroom or any of those things that require you to do what you do is quite the advantage.
It would be,
right. And so like my printer, I can print up to 60 inches tall or wide by whatever length on my Roland printer, right?
Wow.
Canvas prints, whatever you should send me some, and I'll send you a sample.
That's great. I love that.
Yeah, like in fact, if you have that surf image in the background there, the one send me that, and
I will.
A larger print.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Just to see what the I think it'll look really cool on your wall.
Yeah, that's cool. I'd love that. That's great. That's very kind. Appreciate that.
Which size images are those in the background there?
Just these I think those are only 5x7s.
Oh, are they? They look
Yeah,
big.
they're just small prints.
Let's increase those. So like give me 3 of your favorite ones, and I'll print one for you.
Oh, that's great. Thank you so much. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
It's very
So,
cool. Very
yeah,
cool. So you work what camera store do you work at? Camera
so
shop.
it's called Allen's Camera,
Okay, yeah.
and it's if you look online, it'd be actually allenscamera.net as opposed to .com. So
Okay, yeah.
the .com is in Pennsylvania, and the
Yeah.
owner of that camera store probably passed away not too long ago, maybe 2 or 3 years now. But they still have that .com, right? And so a lot of people could get views with
Yeah.
us with that name.
Yeah. Yeah. Has it been around for a long time?
Yeah, it's they've been around 70 years.
Wow, that's cool.
Crazy. So that's like 3 generations of Allens that work
Yeah.
here. So my boss is Allens. I think he's like 5 years younger than I am. But
Yeah.
but you know, Asians we tend to hold our age a little bit better.
Yeah. That's great. That's great.
Let's say uh what okay, so I think we already talked about how shooting digital versus film, uh what how it flows in your type of work, and does it like, is there a benefit for one or the other? uh I
Yeah.
mean,
Um, I, yeah, I think for me, the benefit is really because to be truthful, I can take my Fuji camera and take some pretty great images, and it does a really great job. But the benefit for me, I think, is how it feels, how the process feels, and how I can take a photograph and I don't have to worry about looking at the back of a screen. I can take the shot. I can move on to the next one. I can just enjoy the process. I can enjoy the tactile feel of things, and advancing the film lever. All those things kind of add to the whole experience for me. And so when I'm touring around and traveling around, like yesterday, I was on a little island called Salt Spring Island, which is one of the small little Gulf islands. I happened to have to go to deliver a piece of equipment to a customer. So my wife and I hopped in the truck,
a golf.
and yeah, it's one of the Gulf Islands in along. So if you look up on Google Maps, you'll find a place called Salt Spring Island.
Okay.
Yeah, take a look when you get a chance. Absolutely incredible place. But so we hopped in the truck, got on the ferry, took the ferry over to the island, and then we dropped a piece of equipment off, which didn't take long, and then we spent the rest of the day kind of touring around and taking photographs and video footage, and hopefully I can post up a video here in the next couple of days of that little adventure. But honestly, if I was shooting digital, I would be so focused on what the captured results were
Right.
that I just can't enjoy the moment the same way.
Yeah.
Whereas with film, yeah,
Yeah, I feel the same way. Like there's something about film that makes you just enjoy the moment, and then once you take it, you just leave it and you forget about it. And then
yeah,
having it developed afterwards, and you forget all about I mean, as soon as you see it, you're like, oh my gosh, that memory, that smell,
yeah,
that
yeah,
those sounds, everything comes alive. But like
yeah,
with digital, it's just like, you get it, you could delete it, and it has no meaning to me.
yeah,
It has
yeah,
no life in itself. That's
yeah. Yeah, it's true. You just all of a sudden yeah, I mean it becomes about making sure that you captured that moment the way that it should be captured, but it's never that way. I mean, the experience you have when you travel is unique, and only you really understand that. You try and translate that into photographs, but it's never quite there, right? So I'd rather just go in there. And we were in New York this past summer, and we took our youngest on a little bit of an adventure, and we spent 4 days in New York, or 5 days in New York, and we toured around. And all I brought with me was my Olympus Mu 2, and yeah, and I shot a bunch of rolls with that, and it was super fun.
That's rad. I would love to get to New York eventually. The closest that I've got to New York was Baltimore, Maryland, when I
Yep.
was in business there. Love the food.
Yeah.
Man, it's amazing. So just to wrap things up, Wes, let's have you talk and give me your perspective on film versus digital, and what you would say to a young photographer, like maybe your kids or just anybody that sees your work and wants to dive into film.
Mm-hmm.
What would you advise them, or how you would advise them?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, I would say first and foremost, just be creative. You know, make sure that you're doing anything you can to be creative. And film just happens to be the medium that I love to be creative with, and it resonates with me, and it works well with me, and it's something that I absolutely enjoy. But if you're photographing and you find yourself maybe being bored with photographing digitally, pick up a film camera, put a roll of film in, experience what it's like to go and shoot. I mean, even if you're shooting in fully automatic, I mean, you can go down and buy a film camera for $20 or less at a thrift shop, and put a roll of film in, and you're off and running. It doesn't take much, right? So, you know, so I think the barrier to entry is one of the biggest advantages, that it's so small. I mean, you can, for very little cost in comparison to digital, you can get yourself a full film outfit and be off and running very quickly. So for somebody that wants to start and experience what it's like to shoot film, that I would say is one of the biggest reasons, I would say, because it's just easy to get into, right? And it's actually easier to shoot film than most people think. It's a little bit intimidating to some people.
Right.
But it is, in my opinion, way easier than people think.